Hello, I'm Mark Spencer and I'm the author of Ocean of Self, An Ocean Diver Explores the Nature of Consciousness. Well, first of all, what is consciousness and why is an ocean diver exploring consciousness? Why would an ocean diver be interested in that sort of thing? If you look up the dictionary or do a search on that word, you tend to find just alternate words being introduced, but nothing that really explains what consciousness is. The reason, you might hear, for example, words like awareness or cognition, cognitive awareness. And the reason why it is hard to define consciousness is because, as my book stresses, it is a fundamental aspect of our existence. It's irreducible in the sense that we can't reduce consciousness down to any further ingredients. It's interesting then that consciousness is hard to define, it's hard to study in the objective sense, and yet it's the most certain aspect of our existence. The neuroscientists will say that consciousness comes from the brain, but my book will explore other models of consciousness, of which the brain plays an important part, but I will argue that consciousness has a more fundamental basis in all of nature. Indeed, as much as we define it as the most fundamental aspect of our existence, I will argue that consciousness is the most fundamental aspect of all of existence, all of nature. And we are part of nature, so it shouldn't be so surprising. We see consciousness from more an experiential point of view as an ocean of consciousness, a field of consciousness. And my book will argue that yours and my individual consciousness are nothing but waves on top of that one ocean of universal consciousness. This way of seeing consciousness has come about because, one, I'm a diver in the ocean, but also I've been a meditator for many decades now. And as a meditator and an ocean diver, I've seen correlations, similarities and experiences between the two. And that's, over those decades, my interest in correlating our understanding of consciousness and the diving experience has become more and more of an interest to me. So this ocean of consciousness is one universal ocean. It's the one consciousness that underlies yours and my individual consciousness. Now, if we become divers and go down beneath the individual waves of which our senses normally keep us occupied in, we become divers in that one ocean. And that experience of inner awareness is exactly the same experience that everyone else experiences. And so, in our essence, we can argue that we are one and the same. We're all one. And so, unity is one of the major themes that comes from the book. The other major theme explored in the book is one of empowerment. I've already hinted that this ocean of consciousness is also fundamental to everything else in nature, to the rest of the world. The middle part of the book has some heavier to read chapters on modern science and what we call Vedic science, which is the subjective exploration of consciousness. That subjective meaning that through our own inner searches. And this exploration of modern science tells us how science has gradually unified all the different laws of nature all the different particles and forces that we have to find in nature, we've gradually unified these into what might these days be called the unified field or the superstring field as defined by modern superstring theory. Now this is admittedly a unified field that is supported by the mathematics of superstring theory. It hasn't been proven, but I think it's a model that certainly has held scientists captive, cosmologists and nuclear scientists for many, many decades now. If our consciousness is this unified field from which all the laws of nature emanate, that gives us ultimate power. Because if we can become divers in that ocean, we can then tweak these expressions of natural law to create an outcome that we desire. So that's a very exciting possibility for we humans, and I think one that can lift us in our very sense of morale and give us hope for the future, for our own existence. The book, I hope you'll see, is an uplifting book. It comes with stories and anecdotes that I hope you will find positive and feel-good stories. It ends with some concluding chapters on God, life and love, some of those big questions of our existence. It relates in the beginning of the book stories and anecdotes of my diving experiences with animals, with on and inside of shipwrecks, some of them scary experiences, some of them humorous with certain animals that we've encountered. The middle of the book emphasises a bit more science, modern science and Vedic science. So the book could be described as autobiographical, a little bit of science and a little bit of philosophy. I hope you enjoy it.